With winter fast approaching, Freiburg faces danger from many corners. Freiburg's defenses are still in the planning stages, army unraised and untrained, and the specter of starvation looms over the city's swelling population. Rosa Nix has been offered patronage by the Queen of the Unseelie Court. Acceptance will transform her and remove her Lorenzo heritage and the influence of Mad Queen Marietta. Arthur Wolfe has taken an oath to be the Ruck of Logan Seeger, the Iron Prince of Freiburg. A foray into Bryn Brissail, the lands of the Fae, was cut short and has not been seen since. Gav the Grin has offered a proposal to one Hannelore Erhoff. The joyous moment was followed shortly by discovery that he was to be not only a husband, but a father of twins. Len Costin has sheltered Kathrinia Fischler Dimitrotova, the widow of Gaius Ilya and the Matushka-appointed successor to the throne of Usura. Posen moves to intercept the army of General Montague, but Len and Kathrinia move to warn the general of imminent danger.
Honorine Rosemarie Tiffane Seiss du Seiss struggles to create a safe harbor for members of the Seiss du Seiss family. Her aunt's position in court grows more tenuous with each day, while Honorine's cousin Charlotte seems blissfully unaware of the dangers. Hans Ulrich has been returned his memories by the Scottenmand. Hans has discovered he was a Riefenstahl, former Imperators of Iceland. He rides, with more company than he expected, to free his sister from Hilgrin's treacherous ghosts.
Runa Ingvild's daughter returns from Bryn Brissail with treasures of the Revenge and a last moment with Red. She is burdened with more questions than answers about the runes, Valhalla, and her mother. Above all lingers one question. What is Herja planning?
So, a little unusually, we actually are opening up outside of the city. On the ship the riverboat that Runa is piloting back to Freiburg. Len is staying a little bit longer at the camp. He's going to be assisting Kathrinia with some of the scouting in preparation for a possible battle, but he'll be rejoining back in the city since he's got his own method of transportation. Which leaves it to Honorine and Runa. And there's Runa has, like a limited number of rooms that she can use per day, which she's regularly sort of like been checking on her mother, but also now is to like start learning how to calm and quicken the weather, something that her mother was a master of. But as she's sort of preparing to do that, what I would like you to do is I would like you to roll your resolve and your mastery level of your sorcery, keeping your resolve.
Okay. Hello? $30.
Okay. Runa has the sensation of being observed,
29.
of Scaregin magic on her. And she has an available rune that she can try to like look back using her own gateway on the one who's looking at her. That's how she was able to actually speak with her mother before instead of just like watching. So but she doesn't ever know who's responsible for it.
I think she'd be curious as to who's watching her.
Okay. So So that's going to be a gateway roll, right?
Mhm.
So that's her primary spy and powers.
$48.
Right. She opens up. I need to, I think I put the notes on your notes section for the name. So I'm just checking real quick. Um, I don't think I actually put their name in. Oh, there it is. Gris, Hal's daughter. Gris is the half Scaregin who was kind of like a surrogate mother. Like, she wasn't quite as powerful, but she also wasn't the captain and a living legend. So she did a lot of the sort of mother work. And the last time Runa had seen her, she was in vastly foreign lands, lands that like Runa herself had never traveled to. Once in chains, and then later on, like escaped from them. The she's wearing clothing that still suggests that environment. The kind of like, I'm completely blanking on the name for like typical Muslim dress and like face mask.
Burqa.
Yeah, burqa. There's something for the. Is that like the whole like
That's the
attire,
whole
or is
one.
that just the
It's
mask?
That's
a niqab.
Is it like a hajib for the mask?
Hajib.
I thank you.
Hijab, sorry.
Hijab. That, yes. So the and she pulls it back the moment she can see that like Runa is seeing her and interacting with her. Looking sort of almost relieved at the realization that Runa understood what was happening and that she's not just being spied on. It was like an attempt at communication. And she there's no mistaking, like Gris is usually very steady, but there's still like a hint of panic in her gaze. And she says, I just was contacted by your mother, and I've tried to contact her again, but I can't get through. She says she was relaying something to me about the place that she was at and how she believed that she would be able to get out of it, and then everything went quiet. She just disappeared.
What do you mean you can't get through?
I mean that somebody has erected a rune to prevent scrying where she was.
What did it look like?
And I think it's the mystery rune, which is like the antithesis, the one that Rune has bounced off before
Mhm.
when her mother was like locked outside of spying, locked outside a gateway.
Yeah.
In the mirror, actually.
She just meant like, what did the symbol look like?
Yeah.
Like-
Oh, she kind of is she asking what the actual rune itself looked like when she saw when
Like
she
she
tried to
knows
spy?
what the mystery rune looks like,
Yeah.
but like with certain users, it looks different.
She says, I couldn't even look at it long enough before I was forced to avert my gaze. That was remember, Runa rolled like a 60 or something on that, which is why I gave her the detail of like, she knew who did the rune.
Mm.
But for most people under most circumstances, they wouldn't be able to. And Gris is a half-blood. This is not her, which caps her effectively at like a mastery of 1.
Okay.
So like Runa's actually outgrown her in skill level.
I don't like that. You know she's still in Valhalla.
Her eyes kind of like, is that where she was? It was the first time I'd spoken to her. She was, I felt her scrying on me, and I didn't know who it was, but I recognized the sensation.
Last
And I
I
looked
checked,
back.
she is alive, but in Valhalla.
I thought she was somewhere in Vendel lands, maybe like a vested longhouse. It looked like the inside of one, just larger. She says we were just catching up when there was some sort of interruption, and then she hurried. She was trying to relate to me. Can you see around me? Can you see what I'm drawing? And she kind of like she moves her hands into the dirt and she starts like tracing symbols with her hands.
I can. I see.
Um, so I am going to deal you something here. Oops. I don't like that. Okay, you should have 7 cards that are on your character.
Hmm?
So if you look in Roll20, you're going to have a little like icon over the roof at the bottom there.
Mm.
And you should be able to click on each of them and they'll turn into like a card that you should be able to see the symbol of. You can drag it and put it onto the screen to show others.
What? How do I show
So
others?
when you click on
I
it, just try
can
dragging them out onto the screen.
I can see them.
Yes. And I think you have the option to like show them to others. Yeah, there you go.
Ah. Oh, this is fun. No. Sorry, it made me minimize my screen for a moment.
Fine. These are not runes as Runa knows them. They're not in the runic lexicon of having any meaning. Does that make sense? And Gris is, she looks at them and she's like, I don't know what these mean. She said that they were the symbols to where she was. And all of this, she told me to speak to you, to relate this to you, that you would come looking for her if needed. She said this was how she found her way here from where she was. Do you know what that means?
Would I?
Well, you know, she was at the mirror and before this, and that she's saying that these are somehow part of how she got to Valhalla effectively.
I have an idea. And Runa's gonna like draw them out so that she remembers them.
Yeah. She has, writing materials and everything with her. And she can do it while she's still in the vision, like when she was speaking to the lady in green before. And for Honorine's perspective, she is seeing Runa, like she's hearing the half of what Runa is saying aloud, because like it doesn't just occur into a void.
It's not like a message, it's
No, it's a full like voiced conversation. So, but she says, "Where are you?"
I'm in Eisen.
She says, we had no idea what happened to you. The last I was imprisoned with you." She says, "But they took me away and they sold me."
I almost met the same fate. I made it out.
She says they sent us straight to this land to work for these butchers, slave dealers who had, well, ideas for us that we resisted.
Where are you?
She says, "I'm in Crescent Lands." She says, I picked up a smattering of the language, but not enough to figure out where I am. She says, we found a coast, but the problem is we're all marked as slaves. And she kind of like she turns like she's trying to, it's almost in modern terms like pan the camera. Does that make sense? She knows that you're looking at her, but like when she turns, you see what's behind her. And you see that there's like, it looks like dozens of other like refugees and runaway slaves and stuff like that. Like they all have brands and marks to suggest like where they're, and it looks to you like they were all marked with the same brand, like all sold from the same dealer. This whole group of people all came from Freiburg.
You were with me.
She nods.
There was a gap I wasn't present. I'm still not 100% sure what happened.
She says, you, not much happened. She says it was like you were living dead.
Interesting. But it happened after my vision.
She nods. She says you were up there for days, and um, the old crone signaled for us to come gather you. We thought we were gathering your remains, that you had died on the ascent or something. Your mother was heartbroken, but then you weren't dead. You were gone. And the crone said that the vision had taken something from you, that you were not there, but that you would return eventually.
There's a problem, and I think I know why. I why that happened to me, and why you can't look in on my mom anymore.
Are you going to try to rescue her?
Of course.
Then I want to help, but I don't know how to get to you.
Try to figure out how to get to you. But
She says, we all came here by the same method. We were brought here through one of the Blood Witch's portals. They blindfolded us, and they dragged us through. And then, upon the other side, she collected money from the Crescents and returned.
do you remember what she looked like?
She says, by the time she showed up, our heads were covered.
If I can find you or figure out a way you can help, or both, ideally.
She says, well, she has to be a Montaigne, right? They're the ones that work such magic. She says, she brought us here. She says, so she could come back here. If you could give a signal before that happens, we could rush the place where the Crescents are, perhaps overpower them, force her to take us back.
I'll do my best to figure it out.
She kind of, she rubs at her eyes. She's like, I wish the circumstances were different, she says, but seeing you again, she says, it gives me strength. She says, it gives me hope.
do my best to get you out of there.
And she smiles and just kind of like reaches up and like, touches the air as if she could like put her hand to yours. And the vision just sort of flickers away in the normal way when like one of two people has sort of run out of time. You see, you realize that it's her that's run out of time before you have. As you see, there's kind of like a moment where you're watching her and she can't quite see you. And the moment that happens, like the strong mask kind of fades and she like tears just come down her cheeks and she kind of quickly like wipes them away as she goes to like turn towards the others that she still has to deal with. And her voice gets stronger and she kind of barks at them and Veston and with like a pigeon of eyes in it and whatnot. Like the group is sort of a collection, but it's like, pick up your weapons, we've got to move, we can't stay here too long, as the vision starts to fade out. You can see she's channeling a little bit of like Red and Hardlaw and Ingvild herself.
Yeah.
As Runa's coming out, is it visible when she's coming out?
I think it's probably a matter of like recognizing when she starts to focus on the world around her again.
As Runa's coming out, Honorine is, writing. She's kind of not writing. She's like flipping through the journal in her lap. And she kind of, without looking up, she's like, "Who do we have to save this time?"
My mom and one of my mom and Chris, she was kind of like a second mom. Enslaved. Same people who took me.
That
I
was
got
a
out before
mistake.
she did.
Yeah, that
My
seems like
mom-
a lapse in judgment on their part.
How do you mean?
Taking your family. Honestly, from what I've seen, taking Veston at all seems like an error in judgment.
She's in Crescent Lands. My mom is stuck in Valhalla.
You don't ask for much, do you?
Can I ask?
I just meant figure of speech. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that they're stuck, and I'm sorry they need rescuing, and I'm sorry that they're so far away.
I want to ask a question of Runa real quick, just for the sense of everything. Is this particular vision hitting a little harder? Because I think Honorine has seen Runa like chicken on her family before. Is there sort of is she more stoic than normal? Is it like is there a clue that this bothers her more or less?
Honorine can likely sense that she is trying to remain stoic. But that it's probably not 100% successful. It does bother her.
She'll reach over and sort of squeeze her hand.
All I know is my mom got into Valhalla with these symbols, and Chris got to the Crescent Lands via Porte.
Well, I think that's how a lot of people get around at the moment. But I mean, we could probably figure out who the slavers that had you, who they use for their porte.
That would be the first step.
That would be what?
That would be the first step. And I know where to find the entrance at least.
Good. Good. It's a start.
No, I didn't ask before, but here's me asking, will you help me?
Of course.
Well, I'm sure
So-
we need just more than just the two of us.
So something Henri is very much aware of, since she grew up around Porte and she understands a lot of its limitations, right? The Porte sorcerers can travel to any blooded object that they have, and the number of blooded objects they can have is kind of proportionate to their power as a sorcerer. Which means that whatever sorcerer is bringing people to Crescent Lands has an object in Crescent Lands that is where they're traveling things to.
Yeah, like the bag, like my aunt's bag.
Yes.
But she knows. So she'll ask Runa out loud. Did she say anything about a talisman or anything that they traveled to?
She didn't, did she?
She
And-
honestly probably doesn't know enough about Porte to know how it works. So,
Yeah.
No.
Well, we'll have to start with this person who sold her. And we can go from there.
And I don't recognize the symbols at all, do I?
and Honorine is a scholar, like, she hasn't, actually, did she have, anything scholarly, like, related to the Cernith, right?
She's read she's got books on the Cernith from looting the fuck out of Hilgrin's room.
Okay. I will let her at a later point make sort of a research roll to like be going through those looking for anything that matches. Nothing jumps out as, oh, I've seen this before. Does that make sense? It's more like I could potentially.
Yeah.
Although actually I will, here's what I would like. I would like both of you actually to make a wits roll because I forgot about something in all of this. Go ahead and make a wits roll, and I will let you use scholar or artist because I think both of those are applicable to the remembering of shapes and symbols. Real quick. This is going to be a fairly high target number because it's fairly esoteric, so
28.
Absolutely not.
Oh, it's a cute little 7.
she's more worried about her
And
Chris and her mom at the moment, I'm sure.
Honorine can probably tell that the more she's thinking about it, the more it's bothering her. The lack of information that she has is probably making it worse.
Has Honorine bought any points into Crescent yet? Has she spent any experience on that yet? Or is she...
No, we've been talking
Okay.
about how she can get to it, but I haven't spent the experience because she doesn't.
Well, and I think I've said that she actually has to find like a source for that information as well.
Yeah.
So, okay,
So no.
cool. All right, so I'm gonna drop the curtain there, and we're gonna like move to arriving back in Freiburg here in a minute. But first, we have some stuff to say. All right, so thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of 7th Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Runa. Ruth.
Hi, I'm Ruth. You found me. I am here tonight as Runa, our resident Vestin and badass of the group. Well, there's more than one badass, let's be real. I think all of these characters are pretty badass. I am also here on Tuesdays as Exit, our resident fixer. Now eventually I will stop saying our resident blank. I'm also here on alternate Wednesdays as Trek and Thursdays as Nora. That's about all for me. So I'm gonna pass it on to Honorine.
Hello, everybody. I am Blaze of Gloriosa, also known as Glory, around here. I haunt the Discord probably more than is healthy. I'm here producing on alternate Wednesdays for Oracle Force. I'm here producing on Thursdays for Deviant Paradox. Now I'm here Fridays for our Shadowrun-ish Gibsonian adventure that's just getting started. I also stream on my own channel. So I'm around. You can see me a lot. So tonight I'm here playing our resident noblewoman, Honorine, who is a little confused, but like ready to slap some faces, knock some heads, stuff like that. So, that's about it for me. Let's go with Bison.
That's me. Hi. I am Bison_Stonefist. I am a regular on this channel. I'm here 4 nights a week, and I spend way too much time on the Discord. Tonight, I am playing Gav the Grin, our sewer surfing suplex machine. He's our big lovable dumbass, but he's hardly a dumbass anymore. On Tuesdays, I am the poor bastard responsible for running our Cyberpunk Red campaign, Carnage Heights. We are getting into the final days. We'll see how. We've probably got 1 or 2 sessions left. I know, big sad from Ruth. I'm sorry, but I'm being honest, man. You're fighting the guy. He's the guy. Anyways, I'm also here on Thursdays. I play Garrett Sakes, who is our leather-clad anarchist punk, big stony guy. That is on Deviant Paradox. And on Saturdays, I am a player/GM. I play Calvin Scooter Hobbs, also known as Big Scoots. He is the captain of the ship, and the ship is called the Fortune's Favor. The game, he's Leather Daddy. Whoa. He's probably the youngest one there. The game is Starforged. The campaign is Star Sworn. I get caught on that every time. And it's 4 players, 4 GMs. We're all the same people, and none of us know where the plot's going, which is an absolute riot. Currently, we are bullshitting our way into a secret research facility. Why? I don't know. Yeah. And that's me 4 times a week. Let's go with Sarah next.
All right. Hey, y'all. My name is Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. I am on the channel 4.5, technically. Meh. I'm here a lot. Tonight as Rosa, why do I make stupid choices? Nix. And Tuesday, our Cyberpunk Red Carnage Heights game, I play Hecate. Why do I find people who shoot me attractive? Wednesday, in our Mask Oracle Force game, I play Nightwish. why am I still the leader? And Thursday, I am the DM for our City of Mist campaign, DV Paradox.
3.5.
3.5. I went down a bit. Other than that, you can find me over on Tango Productions working with Scarred Adventurer and Rock Paper Fox on stuff and things that'll come out eventually. Let's give it to Rory.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rory. I'm playing the many-titled. I don't know. I've run out of things to call him at this point. He's everyone's favorite soldier boy,
You.
and that's the only one I'm keeping because everyone loves that bit. Hans Reifenstahl. Context for the new last name is like 2 episodes ago by now, I think. Go watch it if you haven't caught up. Aside from our lovely boy Hans, I also play Graviton on Oracle Force, the Masks of New Generation campaign that we have going on typically every other Wednesday once we're back from hiatus this month. This month is quite busy for a lot of our cast members, so no Oracle Force for October, sad face. Yeah, no links today. No links probably until November, honestly. There's a lot of I'm changing a lot of stuff kind of in the back end, and there's a bunch of stuff very much in progress, but I do still plan on streaming on Twitch every now and then when I've got time. Probably, again, not this month because I'm so busy. But yeah, I occasionally post memes in the Discord, and that's all right now.
I would be happy to be there at the next Rory concert.
Hell yeah. But yeah, that's me. And I believe it is, I believe the reins go back to Siosa now.
That it is. I am Siosa. I'm our storyteller on Sundays. You can find me on the Discord. Other than that, I am allergic to social media, so you won't be able to find me anywhere else. But that is a great reason. Hey, we've got it back, Kyle. Chaos in the chat. But let us get this party rolling. So, in the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that an adventure can only begin in one of 3 ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. But to begin without one of these incitements is folly, a debacle that's best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight, properly girded, with a letter, the most seductive of the 3, and thus the most powerful. This particular letter has been sitting on Honorene's desk, bedside table. It's an invitation to a party that is coming due very soon. If you want to remind everybody who the invitation is from, and whether Honorine is looking for a +1 for it, or if she's going to see if anybody else is willing to come with her for it.
It's it's for Charlotte's party. I'm not sure she's wanting to subject anyone else to that. But she certainly will have, like, kind of complained about it in the bear house. Like, oh my god, there's still Charlotte's party to go to. She would be delighted to bring Koenig Fischler, but I don't think he is available.
He is not available on short notice to
Be
go
one
to
hell of a power move.
soiree.
It would be a solid power move, and if he was still in the city, absolutely. But it just seems really rude to write to him and be like, hey, will you come here to come to my cousin's boring party that I don't want to go to?
Just to show her off.
Made even worse by the fact that Honorine has, like, now heard about it in enough other places to know it's probably not going to be a boring party, because she's definitely, like, going all in on it.
I don't know that it's going to be any more interesting with more people there.
Well, fair enough, but
It's
she's
still
spent enough
Charlotte's
money
party.
about it Yeah, she spent enough money on it that Freeburg is talking about it.
Mm.
So
So she puts together the dress, and she is doing the hair. Does anybody show an interest in going to this party at all? Like,
I feel like Runa would have been like, if you need anyone to go with, I'll go with you. But like, she's not like dying to go. She's just like, I'll accompany you if you'd like. Although
And
I don't know if Charlotte would be super happy to see a Runa there.
and Rosa offers, but at the same time, it's a I know that I'm a Striga, and me
don't
showing
know.
up at this big fancy party could look really bad.
then the last party didn't go super great.
No.
Yeah.
Emotional
Gav's
support
kind of in
scared
the
you.
Gav's kind of in the same boat as Runa. He would make time if Honorine asked him to go.
She's like happy to go if you want her to go, but she's not begging to go. You know what I mean?
So now she has to figure out who to bring to this party.
Just brings the whole gang.
there's also the possibility of Ettore or Anjay. Ettore is very much used to those kind of events. And, there's things with Anjay have been fairly serious. So,
I mean, and it's entirely possible that she mentioned it to Ettore, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to go to that." I have no idea.
Runa knows that she might not be the right company to bring. She's not really accustomed to Montaigne.
Gav honestly doesn't care.
well,
If it pisses off Charlotte in Gav's mind, that's kind of a bonus.
it potentially affects Honorine's
Actually-
future marital prospects, though.
That
if
is
she shows
true.
with somebody that, like,
Is a council member? Like,
it's not just a
the
council member, though.
elected
It's-
representative
One
or the
at a
chosen.
time, one talking at a
Right.
time.
Blah.
the council member thing is definitely relevant. Like, your reputation is in many ways a bigger deal than a lot of other things. Does that make sense? But it's also in the Philosopher's Stone. It's an area where everybody looks and is expected to act like nobility. You know what I'm saying? In which, like, manners and propriety and all of those kind of things are going to be an important part. And it's an area where your reputation is largely counted by the council is not well thought of there still.
That is true. We did
Yeah,
kick out their cheerleader.
You also, like, executed a family member that was in good standing there. There's a few reasons they've got.
Murder.
She does know a particularly eligible guard captain who could go with her.
I mean, honestly, he's probably figured out how he's like. I think their most recent like trip away has given him a taste of, wow, I don't have to do all the work in the district myself. Like he now, like, seeing that everything didn't immediately go to shit, he like properly trusts everybody that he like works for him now, and he's probably more open to going to stuff. Although I think he wouldn't necessarily want to impose because he's still without any land. He is still but a lowly soldier.
He's been knighted officially.
Well,
by
he's
Logan.
been,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, never mind. No, yeah,
well,
that's
he's
true.
he's also, I think, isn't he like the city's marshal at this point?
Yeah, that's like that is a title that means more to the people in the Philosopher's Stone because it is effectively like the personal court of the Iron Prince. Does that make sense? Like, it's traditional that an Iron Prince has 5 advisors for 5 different areas. The Marshal is like the war advisor, which
Okay.
kind of an important part of.
So
Yeah,
I think,
in a country that loves war, I'd say that's pretty important.
Yeah.
so I think she would kind of take Hans's temperature on it, especially since I think Hans and Honorine were like the only ones that didn't get to go to the fancy party under the sea. So I think
Yeah,
she
we
would have
just
been
got to go
like,
as ghosts.
I think she
We're
would
just
have been like,
ghosties.
hey, you wanna make it up? You wanna go to a real party? And kind of feel him out for how he seems to.
Can we state that this is happening like at Hansa's place?
Sure.
The asking and stuff, because like surprisingly, Anna looks just like really excited by it. Like, I get to see you dressed up. I get to see you like at a party. You know, she's not quite at the place where she's like bouncing on her toes. You know what I'm saying? But like, these were the kinds of things as a young noblewoman she was told would be like the heart of her life, and then never really happened because war and war and more war.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's warmed up to the idea of socializing in general a bit more. He'd accept.
Great.
Um,
I will be wearing blue, so if you could go with like some sort of blue motif, that would be great. Dressing to match is usually on point, but like if you don't have anything blue, I could probably try to match whatever you have.
I mean, gonna hurt to go and expand the wardrobe a little bit. And looking at it as like very like boring earthen colored outfits.
yeah, and Anna like interjects. She's like, "If you want to drop a swatch by, I'll bring it over to a tailor, and I'll make sure he's there in time for a fitting."
I was just gonna say like Honoring's gonna like look at Anna and be like, "Want to go some shopping?"
She looks just like, "Are you like honestly inviting me?" Kind of
Oh, yeah.
almost giddy. You know what I'm saying? And she just sort of like, there's like a very self-aware moment where she just sort of like runs her hands over the very like plain dress that she has, and she's like, "Will you even let me in?" And
It's Eisen, and we have money. They'll let you in. Which GM, I'm pretty sure that's true in Freeburg. Sorry,
yeah,
she said it's
there's
Freeburg, and we have money. They'll let us in.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that is generally true. There are a few places that kind of cater to the ultra wealthy that's not true. You know what I'm saying? In which status is more important, but
Well, and Honoring's not going to those places because she can't afford them
actually,
either.
and she just kind of like, when are we going?
And she'll
It could be like now. She would be.
and
Okay, I'll be ready in 5 minutes.
it could be now or whatever. Like she'll happily like work out a time with Anna and they'll go shopping.
Her schedule is open. So that is happening in the background. We're going to be kind of like flashing between some people here real quick. Rosa has been covering for Wilma for quite some time in the court, and the particular thing that's like before her at the moment, she can almost feel, the Mad Queen in her mind being like, "Can we execute all of them?" as it's going on. But for Rosa, it strikes a very personal chord because it's a plaintiff that is before the court that she's asking for Rosa's judgment because the woman and her husband, the woman is with child, and a second plaintiff has claimed the child is his and not her husband's, and has provided some fairly compelling proof of it, which is like, honestly, her reputation is kind of like already through the mud, and like he's well off and he believes that he would be better equipped to raise said child because he has like a stable home and she does not, et cetera, et cetera. And he's asking for like a judgment to intervene. And honestly, the only reason that they're here before the court is because he has enough money to have forced the issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's no law predicating that he can like take someone's child. You know what I'm saying? But like for long enough in enough noble circles, there's a privilege for men. You know what I'm saying? That often they can enforce things in ways that
Yeah.
she is very keenly aware that in Vidachi, this would be going a particular way.
Yeah, she's her first thought was to check the strands. And then she remembered it doesn't exactly work that way. Like for paternity, it is all based on like effectively emotions.
She's still able to see that like the relationship between the woman and the richer man was entirely coins based. Does that make sense? She can
Yeah.
see that like um and even without necessarily like drawing into her magic, the woman has been very forthcoming. Like, yes, I slept with him. No, my husband did not know about it, but he offered enough money in exchange to pay our rent,
Yeah.
etc. Um, very clearly like compelled to do it. The man in question actually like is their landlord.
Hmm.
And there's no evidence that he like raised the rates or anything to like force this to happen. It was just a natural, like, lacked money, was interested in her. And
Yeah.
there's an additional wrinkle in it of that like they had been trying to have children of their own for some time, and there's evidence, and now there's sort of like evidence that like the husband might not have been capable of it. So there's a great deal of like honor all bound up in this as well.
Um, and I'm guessing the husband and the wife's relationship is pretty.
It's fraud at the moment. He's not happy about this, obviously, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like, when asked, he's like, I would raise the child as my own, even if not. Um, I don't believe that all families are tied only by bonds of blood.
And the rich guy's plan for the child is.
The rich guy wants to like take him, adopt him as an heir. He doesn't have any of his own. His wife passed during the war. He fully plans to put him into like the fine noble schooling that's here in the city. Like that, being raised by the noble son, he will be effectively a noble. And he's planning on like taking the social hit of like, yeah, he was a bastard, but I'm like debastardizing him. I'm adopting him as my own.
Yeah.
Which is, there's precedent for that. There's been bastard children that like all of the real children have been killed off, and they're like, well, I'm not going to have my line completely die. So, but I'm sure that what
Yeah.
Rose is thinking about keeps coming back to something entirely unrelated to their particular problems, and much more just to like that pregnancy is at the heart of all of this.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm making that a word, unbastardized is.
Yeah, there's absolutely this, like, she's trying to stay on the case, but there is this like back thought, like, oh no. Ah.
Just, is Rosa like paralyzed about the choice? Is she just kind of
Yes.
caught in it?
She's you it's the most obvious of the gears are turning, but there's nothing coming out. So like they can see her like really like thinking through this and like weighing the pros and cons of like the choices. And for some reason her own issues are currently like really messing with her. This case is just really messing with her.
And Wilma, she'd been like waiting on the side, and kind of this case has been ongoing long enough, and like people are keenly interested in like the decision that like Rose is going to be making and stuff like that. And Wilma like steps forward and looks between the three of them, and she looks straight to the woman. She says, how much more time do you have before you would be giving birth? And the woman says, by my estimate, 5 months, perhaps 4. And her eyes kind of drop. She's like, there were a number of occasions. And Wilma simply nods. And she says, there is enough time to make a decision here that everyone will regret, that I suggest we not rush to one today.
Grazie,
Um,
Senora Bratst.
and the noble, he kind of like clears his throat, and he says, I believe that there is ample legal precedent for me to force this matter. And Wilma like turns to him, and one of the things that you have noticed about Wilma that is remarkable is you have never seen her flinch in the face of anything. She has stone cold stared people down that has made Rosa like want to shake, you know.
Mhm.
And she looks to him and she says, if you are talking the matter of provenance over a child, every case that I think you would come to me to cite is of a courtesan that has officially been recognized, one that has registered herself for such a purpose. Says, what you are talking about is not that, is not covered by it. And if it were, then this would be an appropriate conversation to have with the head of the Jenny's Guild. She says, I suggest you reconsider your position and reconsider one of generosity in hopes of reciprocation. She says, because if it becomes a matter of force, I do not believe that you will have the reception you hope to. And he kind of backpedals a little bit, and he says, perhaps we can revisit this after more conversations. And then Wilma just turns to everybody else. She's like, that will be the last one for today. If everybody will return tomorrow, Zucker will make sure that you have the numbers appropriate so we can begin again. And she kind of looks to Rosa to see if there's anything else Rosa wants to add.
Just, yeah, she's trying to stay out of her own head, and she's trying to say like goodbye to these people and can't.
Yeah, and the woman sort of like, she looks up briefly and she meets Rosa's eyes, and there's like a bit of gratitude that in everything I don't think Rosa ever made her feel like cheap, or like she kind of understood like she was doing what she needed to do to try to take care of her family. And and there were plenty of other people in the crowd and stuff like that who had more unkind things to say. Zucker had them removed, but he's very good at that kind of thing discreetly. So, but she does just like kind of briefly look grateful, and then departs along with her husband, who in everything looks sort of like humiliated, but not like angry. He's not like about to go duel with the noble or anything. Just like he just, you know, basically got cuckolded in public.
Yeah.
So, but seems to be ready to stand by her. Like feels like she made an incredible sacrifice for the two of them, and
yeah.
The
other thing Rosa kept thinking is wait for the baby to be born, see who it looks more like, and make the decision then.
Wilma kind of, you seemed troubled with that one.
I did. I'm sorry. I had a nightmare, and it messed me up in a way I did not expect.
Just like to go up in the tower?
Yes, please.
And you know, head to the tower, and she's walking along, and as Rosa sees like that blood portal that she'd be traveling through in order to get to the top of it without taking the stairs. There's
Mhm.
definitely like just an almost instinctive like that doesn't seem like a good idea right now.
Yeah, she apologizes and is just, let's take the stairs at the moment, please.
Woman says, "That's usually my preference. I'll stop and get us something to eat so that we have a reward for getting to the top." And she kind of like she just comes back with like a little basket of like cheese and crackers kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it's like a long walk, but she kind of talks the whole way up, you know. I think she spends a little bit of time kind of catching Rosa up about what was discussed last game. Does that make sense as far as
Was this
oh she
does Rosa get told about the fight?
she says there was a little bit of a disagreement between your sister and your paramour. Some voices were raised and I set them to work on a problem together, and hopefully that has helped to resolve some of the differences. But
They
Honorine
have
had strong feelings about Montague getting to Charus and the bloodbath that might cause, and Len had strong feelings about that it might be a well-deserved bloodbath.
and they are both right and both wrong.
She nods. She says, just like today, there were merits to the arguments.
And the minute she goes back to the case today, she watches Rosa's face go into that just thinking mode again.
She says, think out loud. Keep walking. Kind of gives her a prod to keep going up the stairs since it's a long way
Mhm.
up. She says, tell me about your dream.
It was of my grandmother, my great great grandmother, and she just kind of says, leaves it that. The kind of hoping that Wilma can
The
connect the
notorious
dots.
one.
Yeah. And I was expecting.
She gives a smile and she shakes her head a little.
And as she's shaking her head, like, oh, thinking she's just kind of like, oh, it's one of those dreams that every woman has.
She kind of you're in a position where a great deal is on your shoulders. There are a great many forces pulling you in many directions. The past and the future, present relationships, what could be, what has been. My question is, what do you want?
I want a family with Len. I want to have that life, but I don't know if it's safe when there's a possibility of having a daughter who also carries my curse.
She's kind of thoughtful for a moment, and she just like pauses at like one of the landings and kind of like leans against the stone. It's actually like a strangely intimate thing. Like it's a tight circular staircase, so the two of you are like fairly close. And she sets the basket down, and she just sort of like leans over and she wraps her arms around Rosa.
Rosa fights to not cry.
She says, what you are is not a curse.
No, but she is. Rosa never told her that she got the journal. I just remembered. Oh my god.
She says, I think you're going to have to explain a little more.
As you remember Honorine, right?
The council member, I've spoken to her a number.
Yes.
You're stalling for time.
I am.
She just kind of
Well,
pecks Rose's cheek, like, I've taught you well, kind of thing.
the the way we met her was during a mission into the Inquisitor's private area to get back her journal. My grandmother's journal.
They've had a number of break-ins lately.
And
There's more.
We were successful. I had the journal. It's why my magic has grown so quickly, so strong so quickly. But it came with a price. Showing the hands.
Are these fate lashes?
Yes. Technically, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're the grandmothers, not right?
Well, they're
the
shaped
because
unusually, and that might be
Yeah.
the grandmother's influence, but the fate lashes she very much did on her own.
Yeah. These come from using the journal. And I found out she is a unraveled. Player's trying to remember. She is an unraveled, contained within the journal.
Not familiar with what that means.
When a Strega dies from fate lashes, they become an unraveled.
I'm not going to say that there aren't hardships that come with your sorcery. There are potential fates that could be visited on you. There's dangers to it, and then on top of it, there's the entire way Vidachi has been structured to keep fate witches on a leash. She says, and she kind of like just puts her hands on like both sides of Rose's face, and she says, "But you are not a curse, and your child will just be a child. And if they have your magic, they'll have you to teach them."
I hope I am enough.
The thing I found about a lot of parents, the best ones don't think they're going to be any good at it.
Well, the other part that scares me is there's an absolute possibility that you are going to be a grandmother.
She just kind of smiles and she says, like she the look on her face is that she clearly understands like the nuance of the meaning of that. Does that make sense? Um, she understands the nuance of like she's declaring like I feel about you like I feel about mother.
Mhm.
Um, and she's thoughtful for just a second. Um, and she takes both of Rosa's hands and she says, "Would you like to be a propst?"
Uh, okay, I'm putting chat away. Not Twitch chat. I'm putting y'all's chat away. Zoom chat. Uh, I've always considered you more than a mother, or as a mother, than I believe you considered me as a daughter.
Says, "I helped get you to safety and I didn't see you for years. There are many people who helped raise you, and it's been a privilege to help look after you now." She says, "But I don't, I'm not intending to be married." Um, she kind of looks puzzled for a moment. She's like, "I've never found myself attracted to men nor women." Says, "I'm ambivalent about the idea of having children and even being intimate with someone. But family does mean something to me." Um, and she kind of, "I'd like you to think about it. If you'd like to be, well," she says, "to bear my last name until such time as you find somebody that," she can pause and she's like, "What is Len's last name?"
Costin.
She kind of like, "Rosa Costin." And she kind of, "Have you considered a hyphen?"
I mean, it would not be the worst.
Um,
Rosa can't say it.
she laughs at the attempted pronunciation. She says, "That might be daunting." She says, "Dachi, Eisen, and Usurin in a single name does seem formidable."
The other I have thought about is, would I be ready to raise a bear cub?
She says, because of his, I have so many questions about that, but um, and she just kind of like, you get to the top of the tower and she kind of like sits down and, sits like next to Rosa instead of like across from her, like the two of them sharing meals and, kind of looks out with like the wind catching and looks out over the tower and like the city and you can tell she's just lost in thought for a minute.
Yeah, I think both her and Rosa are. Because then after I want to say a time, Rosa just kind of looks over at Wilma. Is there a test or a way I can check?
She nods. She says, "An alchemist can make something that you can test with."
Probably should do that sooner rather than later.
She nods. "Do you regret it?"
She shakes her head no, and the smile that crosses her face. I think I truly love Len.
Those of you told him.
Only before one of us is going off to do a very dangerous and very stupid thing.
I think I would see to that then. There are a lot of steps between here and motherhood, and all of the dangerous things to be done in the future. Says there are some days that my schedule seems so insane. I wonder how I'll survive to the end of the day. Says, but one task at a time, one step at a time. Just tell him how you feel.
When we finally have time, not between
Urshligind and Iron Princess.
and explosions and
I'm afraid you're going to have to carve that time out here.
yeah, it seems that every time we try to have a conversation, it seems to get delayed.
And she pecks Rose on the cheek. So cutting to Gav. What is Gav doing like during this time? He's been like looking for property and everything.
Gav's been busy looking for property, working with Guy Weil about the patronage for an orphanage, uh, district representative stuff, talking with Margot / moving Margot and Upman multiple times. It was great that they could stay in the house for a couple of nights, but he can't stay there forever. And making sure that she's actually writing to Hannelore.
So as far as like Upman, there is an understanding that like Margot and Upman are both going to be facing charges. And the representative for like the Merchants Quarter has basically said like, we will make sure they don't leave the city, et cetera, until the charges are faced, but they can remain there. His shop can remain in operation, such as it is.
Gav is very thankful. He's, he understands the gravity of the charges. But
and there's a very much an understanding that is an extremely sort of complex political issue, like both for he understands that like them trying to shield Margot from the rest of the city will have devastating consequences for the Vendel as a whole. Like in the merchants in this area, they cannot afford to do that. There were like explosions across the city. There was the whole attack like in the northwest.
Yeah.
Upman
She's
has
a terrorist.
Upman has explained that like that particular attack, the one that actually claimed lives, was not their doing. And now with like the destruction of like the Lady in Green's domicile, there's like a little bit more evidence for that. And so it's kind of there are a lot of questions together. Does that make sense? That now they're, instead of going, oh my God, we've got to basically like put her on a chopping block. They're like, we want a trial. We want the people to get to know what actually happened, because the Vendel themselves feel like they'll get a certain amount of redemption that way. Does that make sense? Because Upman's association with it has made it something of a racial issue.
Yeah.
Even though Upman himself was like doing the most he could to stop it.
Yeah.
and Margot, who like is originally from, who's like Eisen, but has like traveled all over, but is definitely, Eisen is the one responsible. It's created tensions, and those tensions have not yet resolved. So with everybody willing to be on house arrest and stuff like that, they basically they have a
It's
guard.
eased tensions knowing that they know where they're not like at large.
But there's a guard that's been on the house that is there for twofold: one, to protect them from anybody else,
Mm.
and also to make sure that, like, when they leave, they're escorted.
Yeah.
Now, he does not know that they're both Relaskier and probably capable of ditching them, but such is the risk taken.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like sort of juggling all of his new plates that he's got. Just trying to make sure that everything's going smoothly, I guess.
There is sort of an interjection here because, so when Runa gets back into town, is she sort of letting other people know about the vision that she had and the symbols and stuff like that, or is she keeping it strictly to honoring for now?
She would just kind of trying to gauge the amount that they're currently dealing with. And using that as a gauge as to whether she would tell them or not. But likely that she would at least let the others know.
Okay.
That it's a thing she's trying to handle. Whether or not they have the capabilities to assist.
These traders in flesh, I know where they congregate. I've had that information for quite some time, and I wish to use it, but haven't had an opportunity.
That's a big word for Elmo. Congregate.
Oh, work.
Are you okay?
He started laughing.
Sorry. I tried to keep Gav simple, but after playing Encino for a year and a half, I can't help but use big words.
No, I had assumed you had done it on purpose as like he's been talking to Hannelore like all this time and learning to read, and so I was
He's using all these new big words.
Yeah, that was me
I love that.
recognizing.
In response, Runa would go, I also know where to find them. I came into Freeburg through the slave trade.
They do not always go in the same places, but I know where these places are.
Well, that's good to know.
The other
When
thing
you
that
wish-
Gav would recognize is because Geralt, his shop, lots of strange symbols, and he seemed to like be fairly knowledgeable about just weird Cernith stuff in general.
Do I finally get to meet the guy?
So
You-
if Gav is mentioning,
Yeah. Like I also have friend, he's like, the Explorer Society is good for a lot of things. Understanding what they find is not one of them. However, I have a friend who is much better at these things.
The hell?
He is not a good man, and I would not call him honest. But he is true.
I'll take what I can get.
Then we will go when you have the time.
I have time.
So we go to Geralt's.
yeah, the
She also has the dagger that he can look at.
yeah, and when you come in, Geralt, there's kind of like in a moment of like almost defensiveness when he first sees Runa, and then he kind of like studies her for a moment. And Runa has seen people who have like met her mother but not met her. Does that make sense? And it's clear on his face that he has run into Ingvild at some point.
that pants shitting terror.
So
It's
she,
not quite terror on his face. It's like oh, are we about to have a problem? You know what I'm saying? And then kind of like, wait, that's not.
so she can basically be like, he's met my mom.
She's fairly sure. She has had the secondhand reputation thing before.
Yeah. I recognize that look.
uh, Says, I mistook you for someone.
I know.
And he kind of like, he eyes the marks of the scourgeon, like on her neck. Says, family resemblance, I'm guessing.
Geralt, this is my friend Runa. She has seen strange things and would like to speak to you about them.
He kind of smiles and there's a sort of amused smile on his face, but um, I'm interested in your questions.
Um, well, I kind of have two inquiries. One, they're the symbols, and I don't know what to make of them. I also have this dagger. If I could have information on both.
Can you repeat that a little louder? I was having a hard time hearing. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes. One, I have these symbols and I don't know what to make of them. I also have this dagger. But I think you might be able to tell me more.
Kind of looks at the dagger. He says, well, I can tell you a story about that dagger, but I don't actually know what it does. He says, it was one of my first finds as a young treasure hunter. Says, but the good fortune that let me survive the particular ruin where I found it also had me running into a certain young, beautiful captainess who liberated it from me.
Hmm.
He says, I was allowed to keep my neck, of course. He says, in return for it.
That's for being generous.
He lifts it and he kind of like studies it from both sides. He says, do you know anything of its properties?
Out of character, I know that Blue Eye got himself in the eye with it, and then he could see in the dark.
Yeah. He explained it as even like a little bit more than that. He could see people like wherever they were, even when he closed his eye through the eyelid. It wasn't just a matter of light.
She's going to explain that to him.
He says, that's fascinating. He says, the place where I found it, he says, was entirely underground. He says, with no lights or any other. He says, in many ruins that I've been to, there are clearly no longer functioning light sources. He says, but in this particular one, there was nothing like that.
Interesting.
Kind of smiles thoughtfully. He says, but if it makes me inclined to stab myself in the eye with it, I'm definitely not interested in keeping it around the shop. If you're looking for an offer on it.
I'm not. It's. I keep it as a way to remember who had it before.
I have quite a few sentimental possessions myself.
And these symbols I have.
And he looks at them for a moment and just kind of like, at first sort of like a detached interest. And then a pause. And he kind of tilts his head. And he takes like the little drawings and he copies them over, and then is sort of like moving them around like tiles. Does that make sense? As if like changing the orders of them. Says I've seen these before. Beneath Charus is an object that looks a great deal like one of the permanent Forte portals. Says, but there is no bloodgate inside of it. And says, and these symbols are on the portal itself. He says, what was interesting was that they could be removed. They could be replaced on it. He says, and when we had placed one of each of them into every slot on the portal, it opened a gate. He says, my man went through it, and he never returned.
It's troubling.
I don't make a habit of walking into Zenith objects I don't understand. Says, do you have a context for them?
The one I look like is my mother. She used these symbols to get into Valhalla. I need to get her out.
Valhalla like the afterlife.
Could you repeat that?
He says, Valhalla like the afterlife. You need to get there.
Correct. I need to get her out.
Most Vestan that are talking about getting to Valhalla are talking about dying in battle. I need to clarify. You think there's another way to get there with these?
She's alive. But in Valhalla, she can't get out. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
This is a personal question. He says, how old are you?
I gotta see my dad.
Are you my dad?
20.
What month were you born in?
October.
He blows out a breath. Gav has known him a little bit better. Do you want to make like a roll to see if
I kind of do, considering all this stuff that's been happening lately. What would I call this?
this should be a criminal and wits.
Okay. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 22.
Okay. It's not sure for certain, but like the possibility that Geralt's asking what people are thinking he's asking is likely like his concern, and that he has not yet ruled it out. But definitely Gav's bestie like had a thing with Ingvild at least for a while.
I'm gonna say I think the one thing Gav says is when he clocks that from Geralt, he's like, "She's a little tall, do you not think?"
He kind of crosses his arms and then uncrosses them. It is the most uncomfortable you've seen Geralt. Like he does not quite know how to like process the moment or the possibility. Does that make sense?
It goes right over Runa's head. Because she doesn't know this guy. She knows this guy as well as she knows her dad. Not at all.
And
Funny you say that.
He kind of he says these symbols, he says, when we found them, they weren't tiles like this. He says what they were was pieces of glass, pieces of colored glass, and each of them had a particular color associated with them. He says, I don't know if that's going to be helpful.
It's good information to have nonetheless.
He kind of he rubs at his head. He's like, it's been a while, but I will assign them as I remember them. And he begins, I'm going to do it a little bit later, but like he assigns a different color to each symbol, and they are prismatically the colors of the rainbow. Just one's red, one's orange. There are exactly 7.
So what would happen if we put them in order?
He says, I think you have to find a gate first. Says, like the one we found under Shrews. When we tried to pull them away, I thought they would be useful to sell. He says, we got 20 feet away from the gate, he says, and they were just back on the gate's pillar. Disappeared literally out of our hands. They were bound to it.
Do you happen to know of any locations where a gate might be?
Under every single capital of every nation, save one, Eisen. Eisen's gate was not under Gottschalk.
Gav peeks his head out, or sort of looks out the window up to the Wachtturm. What if it was not in Gottschalk? It has not always been capital of Eisen, before Eisen was nation.
He says,
Gav has not gotten to history book yet.
All of them have moved at some point, but in many cases, the reason the particular areas were settled were because there were interesting ruins nearby. Charus had a built-in plumbing system. That's part of why they set up where they did. He says, I am reasonably certain that there are ruins under Freiburg itself, beneath the level of the sewers. I have a number of sources that would indicate it.
It would explain the strange things we have seen in the sewers,
He nods. He says, but he kind of like drums his fingers. He says, do you know the very large mansion down in Finehearth, or near, right on the edge with the Merchant's Quarter?
Yes,
And
we
you know
would,
it because like the guy like is a crazy who like gives tours, and every tour is different every single time.
Yeah, I was thinking it's one of those ones where the kids would dare each other to go up there.
No, like it's like
Oh, it's
open
not
all
the
the time.
creepy kind. Oh, okay,
No,
yeah,
but it
okay.
is crazy. Like there are like rooms where like the all of the furniture is like nailed to the ceiling, and there's like a massive like maze and stuff like that. Um, he says we used to work together.
I thought he was always crazy.
No, he used to be one of the most reliable navigators I had. He says he started telling me years ago about a fortune that he thought could be found in Freiburg. He says we parted ways at the time. He says when I ran into him again, he was as you saw him.
Do you think he found it?
I think he found something. But getting what out of him is a difficult. And he doesn't even recognize me anymore. Hey, long story short, I think there's very good reason to believe there might be a gate here.
That is what I was thinking as well. I've actually he starts to say something and then stops. Kind of just maybe I shouldn't bring up my little trip to the capital, the castle.
If you find one, I'd be keenly interested in hearing more about it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't quite got all the adventure out of my blood yet.
If we find it, we'll let you know.
He gives a nod. Just for a moment, he's very intently studying Runa's face.
Do I have something on my face?
A likeness.
I get that a lot.
If you need some help, feel free to ask.
Can you repeat that?
He says, if you need some help, feel free to ask. And it is a little like softer, like he's not used to just sort of offering it unconditionally.
I'm happy to have help.
Um, he gives a nod and it'd be nice to see another old sailor again.
I haven't seen her in a while. I've talked to her, but I haven't seen her.
The next time you talk to her, tell her that Geralt says hello.
I will. I think I need to get her out of Valhalla before I can see her.
Yeah, that's... You're gonna have to explain that one to me. Can you explain that one to me?
I don't know that I can. Can I?
Yeah.
Like at
Because
all?
I understand it as a afterlife. It says a place you go if you've been remembered and valorous, and
That
not a place you spring people out of. Like that's the goal, is to get there, right?
correct. All I had before this were these runes and that is how she got in. Now she's stuck. Otherwise, I did only know it as an afterlife.
She used these to get through.
Correct.
And he kind of like looks down at the, like, you know, now noted with like different colors. Says, did she give you an order?
It wasn't me she gave them to.
He kind of...
I could try to contact her, but I'm pretty sure she has a mystery rune. Not set by her.
He says, I've done the math on this. I've thought about it a lot since then. He says 7 symbols. He says 7 slots. It says that's 5,040 combinations of places they could potentially go to.
Did Gris put them in an order?
She just kind of related them in the order as she was seeing. Like, you think she had taken the time to like write them down as they're being given to her, but she didn't state them in a particular order. And there might have been a specific order that Ingvild gave them to her, but she didn't really note that the order was or was not important.
She's gonna give them to him in the order that she was given them. But I don't know that these were given in the proper order. It was information relayed to me.
Well, do you have 5,000 close friends?
That aren't that close.
He laughs. He's like, terrible joke. I've seen these symbols in other places, in other writings, in other ruins, like references to them. I'll go through my notes and see if there's anything more I can figure out.
Thank you.
So we'll cut from there, and I'm going to cut over to Hans. So Anna definitely has a field day out with Honorine. I'm not going to go into all of it. I'm assuming it's just sort of like exuberant teenager with other slightly older exuberant teenager. For Honorine's sake, like the whole Anna at least makes the dress buying thing kind of fun. I think Honorine's probably done most of it, but her own excitement is enough that it's like, oh, right, I used to enjoy this for its own sake.
I mean, and I think Honorine still enjoys it. She's just not super keen on the reason for the dress buying. But she keeps that to herself because, like, I don't know if she has the impression that Anna hasn't done much of this already. Probably, though. So I think
she even says at some point, like, the last time I did this, I was as high as your waist.
So I think Honorine's going to keep it to herself that she's not super keen on the event she's going to, but I think she's gonna just ride the Anna high,
Secondhand excitement.
Yeah, and let herself get excited by it, and just like she's gonna join in the vibe.
All right. Yeah, and when Anna comes back, like, it's the very next morning that there's like a fitting because they're going to be due probably that evening for the actual event. Actually, we'll just ask, like, do you want to go to Upman or do you want to go to another tailor?
Me or Hans?
I'm asking Hans because Upman specifically does like men's fashion.
Oh, he's totally gonna get another Upman jacket.
Well, it won't be an Upman jacket, but he's like, when he goes, is he letting Anna come with him when he gets fitted?
Yeah, if she wants to, sure. Gets her out of the house.
Pew, taking the Reifenstalls to the rebel. It's and Upman looks a little bit like surprised, but like, when Hans is like, do you have time to do a fitting? He's like, I have a bit more time on my hands than I'm used to, so yes. And he asks, like, after the event and the occasion and stuff like that, and it's just sort of like a modification of something to like fit him properly that's already been done in another shop. Like a whole suit from scratch takes weeks. So this was like, we need to get this color integrated and we need to get it fitted. But Upman he says, "You are well? It has been some time since we've spoken."
Well, yeah, I'd say so. I've been very busy. It seems like an endless stream of work always comes down into into the finer hand. But
he says, I have heard your reputation throughout the city. Not that I am traveling through it, but
I mean, I would say a little bit ago I would have said I'm surprised, but it seems I can't quite hide from it any longer.
He
It's
shakes.
it's still rather strange, if I'm being honest with you.
He says, "When are you due for this event?"
It's tonight, right? Is the
Mhm.
idea? Okay. We do this evening, actually.
He says, I see.
A bit of a
If
rush job, I know,
I
but
might make a small suggestion. In the time where I'm making this fit appropriately, perhaps you had best seek out a barber.
yeah, not had enough time for that either.
Says you have a bit of a mercenary on the road for a few weeks look to you.
It's
Which
rugged.
is, he kind of smiles. He says, I do like the 5 o'clock shadow, but you might.
We need to get someone to clean it up a little bit, yeah.
He nods. And there's the, getting all ready for it. Anna's very excited, like kind of seeing him like as she remembers him. You know what I'm saying? Like the young prince to be. I don't know how much. Have you actually bought up the noble skill as yet? Is he remembering the old etiquettes? Are they coming back to him along with his memories?
Let's see here. I think I've bought a little bit of skills for you. Just one so far. I do have enough to buy it up to a second dot, I believe. Let me double check the costs.
Okay.
Yeah, I can buy it up to a second one, and I probably should have done that before, actually.
I'm fine with it now. Like we haven't.
Yeah.
You're
Sweet.
getting ready. And there's in old memories you understand that like the process would have been like go and pick up Honorine with a carriage and whatnot, and you go together and stuff like, but like Freiburg doesn't do carriages. You just have to walk.
Yeah.
And getting over into the Philosopher's Stone area is once again it's suddenly like different being there with the memories of like what you grew up with. And the various like niceties and all of like the noble things that just sort of are more familiar now, and less look at these entitled rich people
Yeah.
of like the last few times that you've been here. This is still an area where Felix was hunted for sport. There are plenty of others that it's just like things feel extremely familiar. Like even fashion in Eisen has not changed much over the last decade or so.
Yeah,
Um,
it's true.
Something Montaigne would consider a travesty, but but like the Eisen are like, no, this is what looks good. We're just gonna stick with it.
Yeah.
And the two of you making your way to the very familiar Edmund, because this is where Redmond's palace used to be. Like they have bought the same building, they've moved in. It is I want to say Mar-a-Lago'd. Like it seems
It's a McMansion.
it's just like there's like gold foil and like all kinds of things that like
It's been gilded.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. It's all kinds of things that like for the Eisen are like, why? Because Eisen would value like a really well carved like wood relief that's been like stained to resist the weather and stuff like that over something that's like gold and a showing of wealth. But that is not the case. Like the entire like mansion palace looks as though it has been completely gilded over. There are expensive like tapestries hanging outside. It's all extremely tasteful, but it's also extremely like imported Cherusian court motif. From somebody who does not have a lot of firsthand experience at said court. So in many ways, it's more the imagination of what that court is. And so the Eisen that are approaching, they're definitely doing so like a little bit apprehensively. Um,
And Honoриne's
And-
like, as they approach Henri and sees it, she's like, I don't know if I feel sick or homesick. Homesick or just sick.
He's looking really. Where's the craftsmanship? I don't understand. This
Well,
is
there's a certain amount of craftsmanship to it. I mean, if you get the foiling wrong, it looks awful.
cheap and amateurish, but I mean, it's so bright and
so bright and shiny.
yeah, a nice
Oh.
a nice dark spruce sculpture would have been a much better centerpiece,
And maybe some more black.
Oh yeah, wow. It's a bit hard to get your hands on these days, no?
And Honorine is like, she's kind of teasing him about it, but she's like not being mean about it. She's just like, oh yes, we need to be a little more austere about it, don't we?
Yeah, play up the dark and mysterious a little bit.
And
Also, if anyone wants to see Fancy Hans, check out the community channel for.
did we make ourselves a fancy Hans?
Yeah,
That's
He
amazing.
did it as soon as the idea came up.
I was just like, oh, everyone else is going. Yeah, I'll just mute and fiddle with Hero Forge for a bit. Yeah,
Love it. And as you guys are approaching, you see like Logan Seeger is approaching. And looks. There's the first look that crosses his face is like, "Oh God, people I know." Like,
just like, oh shit.
like kind of a vibe, right? And he kind of like heads up the steps. He's not there with a date. He's just there, at the invitation. When you go in for Hans, it's like overwhelming. Like there's a full like orchestral quartet. There's like piles and piles of food and drink and stuff like that. And like every single dinner event that Hans went to was like there was like a big table and like courses would be brought out, but like the goal was to give people exactly enough food that they were like, every bite was delightful. But like this is wasteful. And there are a ton of like Eisen that are here that are like, they're aware there are people starving outside, right? Like even jaded nobles are like, this is how, our quarter gets burned down.
Yeah, it's like, oh damn.
And Honorine certainly is more, she's lived enough in Freeburg. I mean, her cousin's probably going to be like, oh, she's gone native. But like, Honorine is definitely among the uncomfortable with the display.
And Charlotte is, as she never got the chance to be in Charus. She's wearing the prettiest and most expensive dress. You know what I'm saying? She's surrounded by a lot of people who are interested, if nothing else, because she has a lot of money. And it's clear from like this display. And there's going to be a couple things happening at once. One is that Hans is coming to the realization that he knows some of the people here.
Oh, interesting.
From before, from that they would recognize him as Reifenstahl.
Oh shit! Huh?
Because they had been to the palace a few times, they had met him. Like it's a few years difference, but there is an absolute risk of that coming out with some of the people that are here. And it's a risk that a few weeks ago he would have stumbled into blindly, unaware of like why people were looking at him. Does that make sense? So there's a certain amount of like social avoiding certain people that is definitely doable, and it's kind of probably very normal for Honorine of like, we're not talking to like X or C or L.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, just avoid these people. At least I'm not talking to these people.
They snubbed the Emperor. We're gonna not talk to them this week. That one wore the same color as the hostess, like Trey Gauche, no. Stuff like that. I assume is what you mean.
Yeah. And Charlotte, Charlotte does immediately like make her way through the crowd, kind of like bustling past her
cat.
husband and everybody else to like, oh, this is my cousin Honorine, and you know what I'm saying, like just an immediate like bright family sort of greeting. None of the cattiness that was in the letters. Does that make sense? More just like I want to immediately like show her off.
Oh, hello, Charlotte. So nice to see you again. Mwah, mwah. This is my
Yeah.
companion. You certainly know him already.
And
This is great.
yeah, and she kind of like, oh, you have always had a way with those handsome military men, haven't you?
Can't help it.
And she just kind of like looks to Hans and she's like, be very careful. The military men who fall in with her have bad luck.
Oh, I appreciate the warning, but I think I've had enough for several of my own lifetimes.
And
He's like playing up a bit of like he remembers
He
the way
rich
his
laughs.
father laughed.
The politest of laughs.
He's playing up a bit of the like affluent rich guy laugh for sure, to like just to fit in a bit better, and also because he finds it funny, honestly. He immediately looks kind of entertained at the prospect of, oh, I get to goof off with a bunch of rich people who've got nothing better to do for a few hours.
How does that comment hit Honorine though? Does
I
she
was
keep the
literally about to
face?
ask you, like, what do I roll to like not dissolve into tears here?
That was gonna be. I will do that as a panache and noble check.
Okay. Because I'm like, I don't
'Cause
know about honoring, but I would start crying. Like, I'd already be crying. Panache and noble, okay.
Bitch.
I heard
The
that.
look on both Runa and Rose's face at that, like, it was just like the outrage.
If Rose had been there, it would have been a different story.
Curses for you! Curses for you!
And she rolls a 28, so she, I assume, is able to keep her composure.
Yeah, I think there's probably. I think Hans, who
I think she
has
grabs
seen Honorine
Hans's
and
arm like really tightly, because like on their way back, because Hans was to talk to Montagny, right?
He was
no,
here.
Hans didn't go to Montague.
Oh shit! So Hans isn't up on the hap, but Honorine definitely
Runa would have
like
slapped the shit out of Charlotte.
Yeah, I think
It's good she didn't come.
definitely like kind of like there's she grips Hans's arm like really tightly, like, and has to take a second before she's like joining in the laughter.
Yeah, I think his immediate reaction is he knows previously that there was like just kind of a sensitivity around her past relationship, and he's playing up like, yeah, I've got no idea what she's talking about. I'm just gonna laugh about bad luck. Trying to kind of like brush the comment off as just oh ha ha ha, good one,
Yeah.
whoever you are.
And Charlotte kind of, she delightfully like moves back in and amongst the crowd. She's like channeling everything you've seen about Jamae, except without like this sort of cutting wit. Does that make sense? She wants to be the belle of the ball. She wants to be like the one who is like the center of all attention.
So Jamae without the actual charm? That's what I'm hearing.
She has a charm of her own. Does that make sense? But she is also, it's very clear to Honorine that she is like leveraging the money that she has to surround herself with people who are sycophantic.
And so the last time that Honorine saw Charlotte's husband was before he was her husband, and Honorine told him to get her flowers that were her favorite color, but which she was also highly allergic to. Like flowers
Yes.
she's allergic to in her favorite color, And so I'm kind of just wondering like how he responds to Honorine too, because presumably he comes over with his wife to say hello.
She doesn't actually come over with him straight off.
Oh.
Like she's too busy, but he does come over like after a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And like he bows like just as formally and politely as he did when she was young enough that like most of the men dancing with her were kind of gross. And he like bows again to Hans, and we're gonna do a quick roll real quick. I just want to see if he happens to recognize Hans. No. Like there's a little bit of a look of like, you seem familiar, you know, but like the moment it's sort of introduced, like, oh, this is Captain Hans, like what clicks in his head is like, oh, that's why I
It's
recognize
like,
him.
oh yeah,
Does that make sense? He's the well-reputed
yeah.
Captain so-and-so. And he looks in, and but he like does offer a hand to Honorine, you know what I'm saying? And he covers it. And he says, it's been a very long time, but it is good to see you again.
And she's able to actually answer him in Eisen, instead of him fumbling along in Montaigne. Like, is he still speaking Montaigne, or did
He does speak to Montaigne to her, and it's a little bit better. It's like, you know, like a few years of practice since then, but it's also not enough that you gather that he has a lot of conversations with his wife.
at least not in, well, she probably, anyway, yeah, okay. And she's gonna compliment him like, oh, you know, your skill has improved significantly, you know, very well done, like in Montaigne. And then she's going to like politely switch to Eisen, since everyone around them probably speaks Eisen and she doesn't want to be rude.
And yeah, and he happily switches over, like and it's a weird thing to like suddenly hear him speaking his own language and realize like she's talking to somebody who's very educated and very, like, by picking up the notes of his accent that she didn't understand at the time, like he's very educated, just not very like people driven. Does that make sense? Like he is somebody who'd be happy to retire to a library and stuff like that.
Not particularly socialized, like most super educated people.
He kind of he smiles. He says, I have a question for you. He says, the flowers you suggested for Charlotte.
Yes.
He says, was a cousin pranking another cousin?
And she'll have like the good grace to kind of blush and be like, I was much younger than Senor.
He smiles. He says, it allowed me the inroad, he says, of opening with an apology. He says, and since then, he says, I've made sure that every hyacinth I get her is in jewelry form, which she seems to much prefer.
I'm glad to have been of assistance, even accidentally.
And he kind of smiles and he says, "Oh, did you get back to the party?" And he like steps back, and you can see that like he is just like he has no interest in doing this. Does that make sense? Like he's just here, and he's here because he's expected to be here. There is none of Redmond's like casual yearning for wealth. Does that make sense? Like Redmond wore like velvet suits and that kind of thing. He's just, it's not over the top. He fits in with like every other Eisen noble that's here, except older than most of them. And the there's one more thing that I would like as a role from Honorine, as like she's going through the dance and everything that evening.
Okay.
It's going to be a wits and scholar roll.
$27.
There's a moment where Hans and Honorine just sort of like are able to get away from the rest of the party. It looks like there's still some burn marks in a familiar place. You know, and it's just sort of like, oh, I know this part of the house.
Have they fixed the wall?
Yeah, they've fixed most everything, but there's still like a few telltale like smoke traces on the ceiling. And you know, like Honorine and Hans kind of duck inside, more out of like morbid fascination. Does that make sense? And see that's been converted into a library in the room. I've talked before about how expensive books are, and even with the advent of the printing press, like that, it just means a few books have come down in price, but most are still wildly expensive. It's just a library that fills the room. And Honorine, by the look of it, She's not cracked any of the books in here. Okay, except for a single shelf. And that shelf, as Honorine kind of draws closer, because she can see that it's like the only one that doesn't have like a little layer of dust and a bunch of perfect spines and everything. Like these books,
All the pages are
spines
still
bent.
uncut.
The books that you can see that are used, they're books in crescent.
That bitch.
That bitch.
I'm gonna throw her out a fucking window.
Does that get
wait,
remarked out
no.
loud? Because Hans is just like, holy shit, there's a lot of money in this room.
Honorine's going to sort of. Honorine's assuming, like, she enters the room, like, assuming she knows how to speak whatever language might be in that room. And so she, like, sort of crosses to the, like, oh, well, let's see what kind of lurid thing Charlotte's actually interested in. And pulls free a book. She's just like, I didn't know Charlotte spoke Crescent. Where did she learn it?
There are notes in it that are like her clearly in the process of learning the language, of like, you know, pointing to certain letters, certain words, you know what I'm saying, and like writing the translation. And
What will it
Fascinating.
take for me to steal a book?
You got a criminal neck?
Yeah.
It's gonna. Okay, there's two routes to go about it. One of them is just going to be fully like hiding it in such a way that it's not going to be seen. Does that make sense?
Like, Hans,
and
put this under your breastplate, okay?
The
Nobody's
other
gonna
is going
search
to
you.
be being like enough engaging and causing enough distraction that nobody knows she has it like basically like behind her back or whatnot until they can get out of there. One of them is going to like, it's basically like a con approach versus like a thief approach. Which way is she going?
So if she's like, I think one of these books I want one of these books. She's gonna like kind of look at Hans and be like, how much do you want to be involved in me getting one of these books? Don't die.
I have a large pocket or two. I could.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of that.
It's just like I've got a large pocket or two in this outfit. I mean,
And-
looks around for any books that may be of interest to him.
Well, and she's
I mean,
going to.
She can't need all of these, right? It's like there's so. Sure, one or two wouldn't be.
Never mind, all of them are like this big.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and so she's gonna look for like the volume that seems like it would be least used, least missed, something like that.
ironically, that's probably the one that has the most weathering because it most likely means that she's read it enough to be done with it. But that also might mean it's a favorite and then she goes back to it over and over again.
What do you think, Hans? Should we steal this book? Should I steal this book?
I mean, I have no context for you want to steal it, but I mean, you know, I think a gift between family is warranted every now and then. If you are, you know, especially since she seems to be, no offense, but you know, rather well off compared to you, unfortunately.
I have a better idea.
Oh.
So Honorine's going to actually go the third way. She's like, she's gonna take the one that's most weathered. And kind of approach Charlotte with it and be like, I was admiring your library. It's so extensive. I had no idea that you spoke Crescent. Do you mind if I borrow? I've been looking for this volume for forever. I would love to read it. May I borrow it, please, dearest cousin? Instead
Um,
of stealing. Unless Hans is like, hang on, I'm stuffing my pockets.
she kind of looks at it and she gives like a very easy smile and she's like, "Oh, I borrowed that from the academy and I really need to return it to them." It's sort of a loner, which
Oh,
the
good.
fact that it's like been written inside,
Oh, I can return
either
it
she's
for you
lying
then.
or she just didn't give a fuck.
I have a close association with the professor, as you noted in your letter. I can return it to her.
And you see there's sort of like a gleam in her eye of like that rumor being confirmed. Um,
Which is fine.
just um and the and she gives a bit of a smile and um looks to the book and she reaches for it. She says, "Let
Okay.
me make a proper gift of it. I'll buy it from the school and then I can send it your way."
If you wish.
And she takes it out of Honoриne's hands.
Interesting. I don't get to roll charm or anything. This is bullshit.
Because she has a reason that's compelling enough to not give it over.
Oh, I know.
It's not just because she dislikes Honorine.
She doesn't dislike
And
Honorine. They're just not close.
sure. I want one more roll from Hans real quick. As he's like before he's kind of coming back to the party. Just give me like we'll just do wits and keen senses for this one real quick.
Okay. $41. Holy shit.
So I think it's going to be like it's kind of an accident. Like he opens up a desk, like just looking for any other books. Like Honorine's gone out to kind of like try the charming route.
He's like,
And
oh,
Hans
maybe they
opens
have
the
like a
desk.
folklore thing.
And yeah, like maybe there's something about the Scotland Man or something around
Yeah.
here. When he opens the desk, he can see like in the top drawer is a ledger. The ledger is for the ceramics factory that's down in Finehearth. As it's owned by the Kirsches.
It's a peek around, you know, quick
But when
little lead out the hallways. Anyone coming? No? Okay.
a quick
Little,
glance inside of it is that there's two like parts to the ledger. Does that make sense? One of them, and all of it is written in a feminine hand. Like the person who's doing the accounting and all the books and stuff like that is Charlotte. And then in the back of it, there is another ledger in which there's no mention of clay or like everything else has been detailed to the point of like we bought this many like pieces of wire, this many, you know, like this much blocks of clay, we've sold them for this amount, like down to the penny. So the
wow.
lack of detail in the second part of the ledger as he's like flipping through and it's in like different colors is for much vaster sums than anything from like the little like pottery warehouse. Like hundreds of guilder at a time. And it doesn't say who the money is coming from or going to.
Is there like spare stationery of some kind in here?
Yeah, there's quite a bit
Okay.
of like spare sheets of paper
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
He's gonna steal a bit and just like another quick like peek down the hall. Anyone coming? If no one's like if there's no like imminent threat of being discovered, he's gonna like quickly copy down a couple entries just as like information for later, and then you know slam the desk shut and you know stroll out. Oh, what a library, yada yada yada. How rich, you know, babblings.
Okay. I'm going to give one thing also because of that 41. One of the things that he realizes is that the ledgers in the back half of the book, they all occur on like the same date of the month. There's 2 of them per month, and they recur like every 2 weeks, like clockwork.
And is each entry like a different colored ink, or are they alternating colors?
No, they're the same
Or-
color.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just like the style of it was different enough that it's like it's clear there's like an amount of money that's being tracked. And the thing is like everything that the ceramics place brings in, I mean, it does a good business. Like somebody would be wealthy and like
yeah.
very much capable of keeping themselves in a noble style off of that alone. Um, the second half, the amount of money that's coming through is the kind of wealth that is power,
Hmm.
the kind of wealth that can fund armies.
That's influence money right there. Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
So
Yeah. He'll copy down a few entries, just like fold up, shove them in his pocket, and stroll out back to the party. See if we can find scan for honorary and see is she talking with someone she doesn't want to talk to. Let's see if I can interrupt a conversation if she wants
Yeah.
to leave or something.
Yeah, an older friend of Charlotte's is like, introducing herself and talking about if things with the captain, indicating Hans, like don't work out. She's got a brother that she would love to introduce her to.
Oh, sounds lovely.
He's a bit older than you, but
These things happen.
um,
Older men in experience, am I right?
she kind of laughs and she's like, well, she's got enough experience that
I'm
camera
still
break, I
here.
think.
It's
Okay.
just my video died.
Oh, okay.
Who's got enough experience?
He's got enough experience that I did worry about him expiring from it, but she says there's something to be said for inheritance, no? And kind of like nudges her and grins. And
That's crazy.
At which point they've been there long enough they can leave if they want to. It's just early enough that it would snub Charlotte a bit.
Where did she put that book?
Is he gonna go for the old-fashioned steal?
Yeah.
It looks like she handed it off to a servant.
Okay, where did the servant go?
Probably back towards the library. Like Hans was coming out and saw a servant passing him.
He strides up to interrupt the conversation. And I have must return to my duties early tomorrow. Should we
Certainly.
do it? He gives a polite nod to whoever she was talking to.
Yeah, and they're gonna, make their excuses or whatever. Criminal,
Yeah.
you said?
She gonna sneak out by a side door and try to grab it on the way?
Yes.
All right. Go with a full like wits and criminal for this one to just not be noticed doing it.
Yep.
I'm spending a drama die, and I got a 49.
The book. Is she just limiting it to the single book?
How many can she grab?
She can grab all of them. It's just she's probably going to be like her sister's going to know who did it.
Start the car!
But
there's every chance her sister's going to know who did it if just that one book disappears too.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, she's gonna introduce some plausible deniability and grab like a couple other random books and maybe one more Crescent book and then go. So like 4 books in total.
Okay. Does Hans noting all this? Is he pointing out the ledger? Is he suggesting it be taken? Anything like that? Or is he just kind of going with the small details that he has?
I think if Unread's been like, hey, we're gonna steal a book or two. If he follows along, he's not gonna take it. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna mention it until they've left the house, just in case anyone happens to be in earshot. But he, at this point, he knows enough that if this was a year ago, Hans, or however long it's been, he'd be like, oh, this is suspicious. I'm taking this. I'll report it to my commanders. But now he's like, nah. I would get noticed immediately, and that'd be big trouble just in general, because whatever's happening there would probably get moved before he has the chance to take a more
It's-
in-depth look or anything.
Yeah, and you guys get out without any trouble. You see, you see Logan, like the moment the two of you made an exit, was immediately like, okay, bye. Great having you here. And
Hey, I'll go with you.
yeah, actually he does like use some
Yeah,
basic
he
moves, like
gives a small like, oh,
Who is
like,
wait?
half
Who is?
salute,
I
half
missed who
wave
it
to
was.
Logan.
Oh,
Logan
Logan. Oh.
Seeger. Like he was just sort of like he was here to be polite.
Yeah.
You know.
So they lock eyes with Logan and they're like,
Yeah, no idea that they've just done a crime, but all right. And we're in our last 5 minutes, so I'm gonna start wrapping up.
it's just a little crime.
It's a treat.
Runa has quite a bit of new information and things to process. I don't know, like if her and Gav are kind of, if Gav mentions anything on the way back.
She has more questions. Well, Ruth has more questions. All our questions are answered with more questions.
I think the one thing Gav kind of does talk to Runa about is he does bring up the fact that Hersha gave him the hand. Like it was like we have not had time to talk about this, but I have memory from when this happened. Your friend, the one who causes all of this trouble,
I certainly wouldn't call him my friend, but I know who you're talking about.
is da. He gave it to me. He spoke to me. I do not understand why.
Neither do I.
Perhaps your mother knows. Or perhaps she can tell us something about this crazy bastard.
I believe she'd know a lot more than me. Unfortunately, I think he's blocking connection to her.
Did you not notice something strange about my friend? Something familiar, maybe?
Did I?
I don't think she did. I think she never saw him before. She never met him.
Yeah. No. No. Did you?
He kind of looks at her, sort of tilts his head a little bit. He's like, I am not sure. I would have to do some sketches to be certain. But it's just strange coincidence.
What?
You two do look similar. It's in the jawline.
Well, I'd say anything's possible. I know nothing of my father.
Perhaps you do. But perhaps I am crazy.
Did it seem he may have been worried about it? I mean, he did ask me my age and when I was born.
I wonder how he got out of that ruin that one time. And he chuckles.
That is curious. My mom isn't always so generous.
Perhaps a trade was made. And he laughs again.
Well, like I said, my mother has a lot more information than I do.
It is getting late. We should head home.
Yes.
I'm gonna go just like 5 minutes over. It's so Rosa has had a relatively quiet night. Len's been like out on his own. There's been, like no more people dropping by. I don't know if Rosa's like staying at Len's place while he's away or staying at her own or
She would have actually reached out to Honorine to probably Honorine.
Okay.
Just because of where her brain's at the moment.
So like so we're assuming this is kind of like in the wake of the party that like Rose is maybe over at Honorine's place. Like, I want to talk to her after everything is over.
Hmm.
Um, Rose has shown, aptitude with music and learning it and stuff like that. Since there isn't the constant access to music that like we're used to, does that make sense? Like having an earworm is sort of like well, I know where I got this from because I've only seen like one orchestra in the last month. That's when I was last hearing a bunch of music, or like a street performer or something like that. Um, but Rosa very much gets like a song in her head, one that she thinks she's read before, one that she knows the notes of, but doesn't know she's ever like heard. But like as she's sitting there, as she's kind of like looking out on like the skyline over Freeburg, she keeps just sort of hearing the notes again and again. And I think she realizes that she's seen it before inside of the book, inside of the
Okay.
journal.
Mhm.
But she doesn't know what it means. She didn't have time to like memorize every passage or anything like that, but
Yeah, she has her violin, right?
mhm.
So she'll start playing it, trying to connect the dots in her own head.
Okay.
I know the
I
theme for
would like
tonight
you
is stealing books, but don't do it.
No, she wanted to talk to Honorine about something else.
I'm just
I
saying.
would like you to make a roll with your resolve,
Oh
and your
no.
musical knack. Or no, you normally do your magic based off your wits, right? Not your
Yes.
resolve. Okay. So go ahead and do your wits plus your if it's I think it's a musician knack, right? Or performer? Yeah, performer.
Performer. I forgot to check what I have that at.
Probably one.
It's 2.
Oh.
Shush, I know I'm bad about putting my
Oh, also roll your sword's curse dice on this.
You have enough dice for that?
No, the sword's curse reduced the roll
Oh.
by an amount of what she rolls on the curse dice.
I got -1. I have more curse dice than I do regular.
Did any of the curse dice roll a 10?
I haven't even rolled it yet. So
No,
for
no. You don't subtract the curse dice just as a number.
Oh,
You roll the curse dice and subtract that value.
6, keep 4, 28. So 21.
Okay. Um the and if any of the curse die roll 10, they do explode, but you also throw that die away.
Yeah, no.
Okay. The only way to
I
get
got
rid of your curse is to like do things that your curse fucks you on.
Yeah.
So, um, as she plays it, she remembers uh, the specific like title of the song, and it was like, and she's playing on the violin. It's like it's all like sharp staccato kind of notes. You know what I'm saying? And everything about it as she's playing it is very much. It feels like observing a battle. Does that make sense? Like almost like some of the sharper notes are like gunshots or like the clash of blades or something similar. It just has that sort of like butt cheeks clenched kind of like energy to it, of like fear and death and destruction. And she remembers the song's name, as Pandemonium.
Okay.
And she can, the thing is like her playing it doesn't change it, but like it also doesn't stop the fact that she's hearing it in the air around Freeburg.
She stops playing to see if it's still there.
She can still hear it. And as she like looks in a mirror, she can see her grandmother kind of like floating through Freeburg with a violin at her chin and playing the song.
Yeah, it's an immediate Honorine.
And then there's like a crack as like
Honorine?
the door opens and Hans and Honorine come in after having purloined some stuff.
Stumble in with like
Yeah.
an armful of books, like, huh, that was more fun than I thought it was gonna be.
She ends up jumping like cat scared of
Rosa!
cucumber.
Oh, Rosa, did we spook you? Are you alright? You look like you've seen a ghost. My goodness.
Other than Hans. She's like closed the door before she said that.
You and I'm sorry, I thought I
Are you okay?
had
Do you want some tea?
yes, please.
They're both Hans and Honorine like
Goodness,
like
you were
burst
so, you're so
in with
bad. Yeah,
like
come sit
purloined
down, sit down.
stuff and like all dressed up and fancy, and meanwhile Rosa is like having this incredible like meltdown. Anyway, she'll put on the kettle.
Yeah, Hansi goes off to look find like a small, like a light snack and a glass of water.
Crackers.
Yeah, piece of bread.
Goldfish crackers.
Honorine, where is the journal? That's French. That was not Italian. Oh my god.
Where'd Light the Match come from?
Shush.
And at the question, Honorine goes from like laughing and good natured and like kind of jazzed from like stealing books to just like it's safe for now.
Good, I got one of grandmother's songs stuck into my head, and I started to play it, and suddenly I thought, or I did see her over the city, and I got to freak me out.
And has Rosa switched to Vidachi like with her?
She's switched into the even making her voice sound more Italian.
Yeah, so Honorine is gonna switch to speaking Vidachi with her. Like she's been practicing her Vidachi with Rosa and all that stuff. So she's gonna like keep. She's gonna like switch just because whether that seems easier or whatever. And just sort of like it's okay. She's not here. She can't hurt you.
Hans doesn't speak Vidachi, right?
He comes back with a glass of water and like a little like dessert roll from somewhere. He's like,
cinnamon roll.
Just kind of makes a few confused sounds, sets it down on the table, and leaves to go do something else.
Thank you, Hans. He's like that.
Signore.
He's like the guy coming back with the pizza.
As we're doing that, I would like another wits and keen senses from Hans.
Oh fuck! This feels important. Uh-oh.
Well, you were Bruce Wayne before. Now it's time to be Batman.
Yeah. That's true. So cool for so long.
And yeah, so
17.
this is actually
That's terrible. I'm re-rolling that. I'm re-rolling that. That's terrible. That's marginally better. 22. Ugh. a little bit better. At least.
We're gonna let Honorine and Rosa like talk for a minute.
So Honorine is she takes the little coffee roll and takes the tea and stuff, and like actually the kettle's probably not, I don't know, can Honorine just be like kettle, like, or like
She's got the feed neck to heat a pot
take
like
a
about as
couple-
fast as she wants.
Yeah, she's gonna just sort of like, she's gonna grab the cold kettle like kind of from on top of the stove, and by the time she comes over and starts pouring water, it's hot, it's steaming.
I'm so scared of how Honorine's going to react to this. I am, and this isn't Eisen. She switches back into it, so if Hans hears, oh well. I might be expecting.
Oh, Lord. Congratulations. Are
Len
you
doesn't-
happy about it?
Yes,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I'm more worried what grandmother's going to do if it's a girl.
And Honorine has thoughts on this, but she doesn't say them out loud. She just sort of like, she pours the tea for Rosa, and she like wraps, kind of takes Rosa's hands and wraps them around the warm cup. And Rosa probably has to remind her every once in a while, because Honorine doesn't get burned. So Rosa probably has to like kind of be like, it's a little warm, and like pull her hand like a little bit away from the cup after a second, but and Honorine's like, oh right, sorry. And she's like, you know that I think there's a path you should take here. And I think that now you have the opportunity for you and someone else.
I've thought about it thoroughly. Taking Mob up on her offer.
And Honorine kind of tenses as she says it out loud, like I don't know what this lady can hear, but like there's definitely been some interplay when Rosa's not holding the journal, so she's definitely like suspicious. She's like, ma'am, you better keep your ears to yourself, kind of thing. Like, so there's definitely a look on her face when Rosa says it out loud, where she's just like,
When she says it out loud, Rosa stops hearing the song.
And she goes so pale because she didn't even think about it for a second.
Honorine's going to like grab her and hold her in a really tight hug and like pet her hair, like run her fingers through Rosa's hair and just whisper to her like, it's okay. It's going to be okay.
As Hans is kind of, I think, puttering in the kitchen, putting some things away, just being out of, like, letting sisters do sister things.
Where are we? I'm so sorry.
We're at Honorine's house.
Honorine's place.
Okay.
Like, so
that
he's like,
detail somehow just completely missed me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Where the fuck am I?
They're there because
it just
like,
occurred to me that I have no idea where I'm supposed to be.
as a man of honor and, you know, some crime, he walks her back to her place first.
Accompany the,
Yeah, him and Waldo are just like chilling in the kitchen, like puttering together. Because
Making
Waldo
chit-chat.
is somehow always there.
Waldo's
Waldo's
like
overlapping.
fixing a sink or something.
Like this particular time, it was more like Waldo was kind of like watching to make sure she got home. You know, went to bed after he saw that she was okay. Yeah. So Hans is just sort of there, like busy himself with like, I'm gonna clean something up and not be, you know, in their space while they're talking.
Like make a little sandwich or something.
As he's like looking out the window for just a moment underneath one of the lights, he sees a face, and I put it up on screen. It's a face he's not seen since before he died. It's a man whose funeral he has been to.
I knew it.
I know who that guy is.
Wait,
Who is that?
This is
What?
Daddy.
No,
Is that?
no.
I'm
that
pre-
was
Is that-
his sergeant at arms, more or less. The
That
guy
was
that
that was his general. That was
Oh,
his,
right.
like the one who served the Imperator
Yeah.
directly, the one who like taught Hans,
The other old white guy.
The one who saved Anna, correct?
yeah.
and
Hmm.
also
Yeah.
the one that Anna believed she saw as a ghost.
I
Huh.
knew it. Sorry.
Is this just like a split second and he's gone, or is it more of like
It's just
does he like
like,
move away into the
What it
darkness?
looks like to Hans is like he takes a step back in the shadows and is gone. And that's where we'll drop the
Just like
curtain for
that.
tonight.
Oh, this is a
Whoa.
good friggin' session.
That
Sa-
noise.
Sarah
That was
growled.
Quite a fucking growl of anger over here. Jesus.
Anger just like. "Ah."
Sarah, you need to like go watch the VOD back just for those 2 seconds. Like you need to hear that noise as it came through.
It sounded like something I would do.
That was
We went
crazy.
like full on like Emily Rose there.
I'm sure Backhow might make a clip of that.
Maybe.
Oh
might
no.
already be working on it. All right. Do we have suggestions for
Rosa.
RP tonight?
Rosa
Rosa and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Yes, Hans. My other one was gonna be Runa.
I'm good with giving 3. I actually was going to nominate Runa myself. So
That too.
That
Cool
wasn't me being cheeky. I genuinely just wanted hair out of the way.
stuff.
I realized the way that looked by me going, oh, and then moving my hair.
So I'm gonna do 3 bonus tonight. I'm gonna do 3 as the base, 3 bonus, plus drama die. So, and that should do us for tonight. So I'm gonna read us out as soon as I open the thing. All right. Thank you for everyone watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, make a comment in the down below. Everybody that was in Twitch tonight, thank you very much. Batkyle, we missed you.
We missed you. Thank you,
Yes, we
Siosa.
did.
That was a
Thank you,
very
Siosa.
entrancing,
Siosa.
interesting, well thought out session, and we really
That was
appreciate it.
fun.
I have more
was fun.
questions.
Which is the
So
best.
do. So
I
do
always
I.
leave session with at least one more. I have 2 more. Target mom.
They're there.
Is that my dad? Huh?
Here at Dirty 20, we always send out with the same call to action. Be nice. Be kind when you have the spoons, but even when you're not, be nice. Be nice to strangers, be nice to family, be nice to your loved ones, be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and we'll see you next week.
Night, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.